The Jedi Temple Guards were some of the most esteemed protectors of the light side of the Force within the Jedi Order, as only some of the most well-equipped Jedi Knights were given the great responsibility of guarding their home. The most famous of all of the Jedi Knights that we know that served under this was in fact the Grand Inquisitor, but there is also another major question revolving around these mysterious Jedi Temple Guards, these Knights of the Order. Where were they during Operation Nightfall in Order 66? Where were the Jedi Temple Guards when the Order fell, and Darth Vader marched with the 501st on the doorsteps of the Jedi Temple? And today we will uncover the sad truth behind why they were all dead before Operation Nightfall ever was initiated. First though, in order to explain this, we have to explore the origins of one of their greatest, or rather, their greatest enemy and betrayer, the Grand Inquisitor himself, and explain exactly why the Grand Inquisitor turned to the dark side, when he turned to the dark side, and why the Grand Inquisitor's turn was a direct result in why the Jedi Temple Guards were not present during Order 66, and why they had all been killed. Darth Vader's Legion of Inquisitors is among the most powerful and most dangerous band of Imperial enforcers that the Empire has to offer, and due to their quest across the galaxy to eradicate survivors of Order 66, left unmatched calamity in their wake, with over a dozen gifted Force users being enlisted to hunt down and butcher Jedi Knights in hiding. These Inquisitors are widely feared by both Jedi and the general public alike, and they were not above civilian collateral damage in order to achieve their goals of finding these surviving Jedi. At the head of this battalion is the Grand Inquisitor, a title that is highly coveted and is sought after by those who serve directly under Vader and his forces, and is one of the most prestigious titles within the Empire, especially among the other Inquisitors though. The current Grand Inquisitor, an unnamed Puan male, has served as the master of this title and leader of the Inquisitors for decades. But why did this Grand Inquisitor turn to the dark side in the first place? What inspired him to join Darth Vader in the Empire, and why had he begun embracing the dark side of the Force before Order 66 ever took place? The Grand Inquisitor actually turned before Darth Vader did. Today, students of the Force will explore the past life of the Grand Inquisitor and the events that shaped him into the fearsome Jedi hunter that we know today, as well as why his turn resulted in the deaths of his brethren. Before the age of the Empire, the unnamed individual who would later become the Grand Inquisitor was one of the Jedi Temple Guards who oversaw the security of the Jedi Palace. He was directly in charge of ensuring the safety of the staff within the Jedi Temple, as well as the Jedi Knights who lived on Coruscant, which gave the Grand Inquisitor at the time an in-depth look at their training practices, teachings, and skill sets. Here, he became attuned to the Force and learned the art of lightsaber combat from some of the most talented Jedi in the entire galaxy. As the Grand Inquisitor developed an understanding of their operations on an incredibly intimate level. His descent into the clutches of the dark side, however, began during the Clone Wars at the trial of Barriss Offee, after she framed Ahsoka Tano for bombing the Jedi Temple. This proved to be an integral moment in the Grand Inquisitor's life, along with Ahsoka's. Before Ahsoka's sentencing, Anakin was able to uncover evidence of Barriss's involvement and is able to probe a confession from her before calling her in to confess before the Council as well as the Chancellor. During her hearing, the Grand Inquisitor is one of the guards present there and personally escorted Barriss into the courtroom. While on trial, Barriss makes a compelling case for how the Jedi have fallen from grace, preaching that they are now the true villains of the Clone Wars conflict, and that the Order as a whole should be on trial for their crimes against the galaxy. Barriss details how they've fallen from the light and how they no longer stand for the same principles that they had once held so dear, before being taken and imprisoned by the very same temple guards that the Inquisitor served beside. And the Inquisitor himself escorted Barriss back to her cell. Though justice seemed to be served here, this caused the Grand Inquisitor to think about what Barriss had said, and he began to reevaluate his own standing within the organization. Ultimately, he came to the same conclusion that Barriss herself had come to and alleged, and he saw exactly why she viewed the Jedi as the true threat to the safety of the galaxy. But this is not the only reason the Grand Inquisitor would embrace the dark side. He would soon after encounter a Jedi who he would grow to hate. This, though, began the Grand Inquisitor's disillusionment with the light, and his willingness to entertain the possibility that the dark side had much more to offer him, especially when the options for a new form of government seemed to become more and more likely. This made Palpatine's promise of a new reform particularly compelling to him, as it was largely the Jedi that saw the dark side as a force of pure evil, unwilling to accept the fact that there was much more ambiguity between their actions actions and the actions of the Separatists, which made some people wonder if the dark side was even that bad of a thing to begin with. Soon after, the Grand Inquisitor sought information from the Jedi archives, which Jocasta Nu, Jedi librarian, refused to grant him, further enforcing the idea that the Jedi dogma was dangerous and had corrupted the Order if even a Jedi was unable to obtain information on the larger order. The Grand Inquisitor hated the arrogance of Jocasta, as she was a Jedi Master and he was not, and vowed that one day she too would pay for her crimes. The Grand Inquisitor believed that Jocasta Nu was old and weak and stood for everything wrong with the Jedi Order. This is why when Operation Nightfall was given and Order 66 was enacted, the Grand Inquisitor was ready, as it's compelling to note that no Jedi Temple Guards were there to protect the temple from Lord Vader and the 501st Legion. This is because the Grand Inquisitor's first act as a herald of the dark side was to kill his Jedi brethren and the Jedi Temple Guards that he served with him playing a direct hand in weakening the temple defenses before Vader's arrival. It is theorized that the Grand Inquisitor went as far as to kill all the remaining Temple Guards directly and open the doors for Vader and his legion of clone troopers. This made the Grand Inquisitor Vader's inside man and crippling the Order before Vader himself ever even arrived, and his motivations would have been believable from a certain point of view. Dooku himself used the dark side as a political tool, not a force for evil nor domination, and he largely sought to use the power of the dark side to effect change on a galactic scale that millions of people actively supported. Though they may not have agreed with Dooku's viewpoints, he was a shining example that the dark side was not an inherently evil force. This is why the Grand Inquisitor betrayed his brethren, as just as Anakin would slay the Jedi Temple that he served beside, the Grand Inquisitor believed that those that he served beside too were far too gone. The Jedi had become political pawns and weapons to be pointed by the Chancellor and fired upon whenever he saw fit. They were no longer the peacekeepers that they had once believed themselves to be, and were responsible for the destruction and calamity that plagued the galaxy, at least in some way. When viewing how the Jedi Order had been corrupted, it's more easily understandable as to why someone like the Grand Inquisitor might have elected to give the dark side a chance, and a chance to prove that it may truly be better than the light, and that Palpatine's reforms might have actually been a way to save the galaxy from the plague of the Jedi and the corruption of the Republic. It is also believed that the Grand Inquisitor felt a need to prove himself more powerful than other Jedi, as we know that the Grand Inquisitor is known for studying Jedi that they hunted over the course of Order 66 and the Great Jedi Purge, looking at the Jedi Masters and the Jedi Padawans of the respective Jedi that they were hunting at any given moment. The Grand Inquisitor craved knowledge, and it was this moment with Jocasta Nu, where he was denied knowledge yet again, that drove him completely over the edge. Perhaps he was just looking for some more answers, perhaps he was lost and looking for a deeper light side connection, but Jocasta simply turned him away without a second thought and without any regrets. So anyway, students of the Force, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on why all of the Jedi Temple Guards were dead before Operation Nightfall? What are your thoughts on the Grand Inquisitor killing them and then opening the doors for Lord Vader? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching and continuing to support the channel. May the Force be with you, and I hope that you have a great day.